Hey guys, Nerdarchy Dave here from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with some of my esteemed colleagues.
I'm Ted.
I'm Nate.
Open up your DMGs if you got them, because we're going to be talking about 5e, the CR system.
Yeah, page 82.
So we had a request from Alexander Maxwell for us to explain how the challenge system works in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And, when we first started playing, specifically I was the one to run the first 5e game, I looked at the monster manual because the DMG wasn't out yet, and it said, okay, here's a challenge, So my brain, who was used to the setup of 3rd edition, was like, well, this clearly must be how, laid out similar to 3 and 3.5. So I went ahead with it, and, first encounter of my second session, I killed one of the players. It's like, well,
Oops.
Clearly I did not have a accurate judge on how this is supposed to work.
So the CR system in 5th edition is completely different than 3rd.
Absolutely.
And it's a little convoluted and confusing, even more so because it's so different from 3rd.
Right.
When I'm creating encounters and writing my adventure, what I do is I take the party's level, and it'll tell you for each party member the value of an encounter, whether it's easy, medium, hard, or deadly.
Right.
And I don't actually use deadly. I don't use that column. And what I do, so I'll look at my party. I'll look at the party composition. If they're all 3rd level, I'll go and see what the XP budget is, because that's what we're working with, an XP budget.
Right.
And I'll see what that number is. I multiply that number by my players. That gives me my easy encounter. And then I'll do it again for medium, and I'll do it again for hard. Right. So now I have a range to build the encounters within that I know I can spend that budget.
So, if you say, all right, well, I have four players in the party, and they're level 3. So then that's 300 XP for an easy encounter, or what is the math? Three times that. So you've got, is that 1,200?
Let's say first level.
Okay, fine. We'll do first level.
Stop making
So
a
an
mistake,
easy
Ted.
encounter would be 100 XP.
100.
A medium encounter would be 200. And then the hard would be
300.
Yeah.
So, and then you can then go to your monsters and figure out, okay, well, if I've got the XP budget of, say, a hard encounter is 300, you can put in, monsters that total up to that.
But there's more.
Well, there's more.
When you use multiple monsters, it adds a multiplier to the XP,
Now,
increasing their value.
But that's only for determining how deadly it is.
So let's look at a medium encounter. Our budget is 200.
200.
So so we actually have to then look at the XP for the monsters themselves.
So if you're going to use, if your XP budget is 200, if you put in 2 monsters that are worth 100 each, that bumps it up. You multiply it times 1.5.
Yeah,
so
it's no longer a medium.
It's now a hard encounter.
So it's now a hard encounter because there's 2 of them. Because it's going to essentially double the number of attacks going at you. But it's not 300 XP rewarded to the party. They're still only getting the 200. That number is used to determine how difficult the encounter actually is.
And that's to go along. You have 1 cobalt, he's only worth so much.
Right.
You have 15, 20 cobalts, they're worth more than just the simple sum of all the XP.
Right, and
like the deadliness of their fight is at a higher level than their actual XP value.
Right.
So if you take a number like, say you have a monster that's worth 25 XP, and you add 2 monsters that are worth 25 XP, well, that would be 50, but it's not. It's not, because it's actually worth 75 because of the multiplier.
Right.
But that being said, if you then add a 4th monster, or a 3rd monster, a 3rd monster, now that the encounter will cost you
50.
Well, it's times 2 off of 50, or off of the 25. There's 3 of them, so 150. So it just builds that way, and then if you go from that 3 monsters to 7 monsters, the multiplier changes yet again.
Absolutely.
So it does require a little bit more work for figuring out the encounter. So almost like when we were learning multiplications, right? How you had the multiplication table. I feel like you almost want to do that for your party. At easy, medium, hard, and then okay at 1, 2. You would do 2, 3 to 6, 7 to 10, and whatever they are. Depending on what kind of encounter you want to make it.
Right.
So it's not really like as easy as saying, how do I build an encounter? What do I use the XP? Because unfortunately, with 5th edition and a lot of 5th edition, it's as much art as it is science. Because you're going to have to look at what your party composition is as well. Like if you have a lot of weak monsters, but your players have area effect abilities, that could completely change the encounter. And I built an encounter based off of that this weekend. And fortunately, I never really told them how many monsters they were facing.
Because we got our asses kicked.
Because it was Sturges. They have 2 hit points each. And I'm like, I got 2 Dragonborns with breath weapons. I had tons of the players that cast spells. And I'm like, they should be able to wipe through like 30 of these like it was nothing. Originally, I had planned on being like 50-some Sturges. What I didn't... And I always roll bad. I always, so I just have to factor that in. I didn't count on rolling a natural 20 for initiative.
So you had things stuck to all of us before we even had a turn.
Yes.
Some people were near dead, or most of us were half dead by the time we actually got to do anything.
And I generously gave you guys a bunch of attacks of opportunity that I don't even remember in this edition if you get them or not, due to you guys have lost initiative.
Right.
Yeah, but whatever. So that like whittled down the amount of. Otherwise, I probably would have dropped at least one person
from the initial attack.
Oh. So my Sturges ended up being deadly, due to several factors.
Well, I mean, nobody died. So
no.
It was somewhere between a medium and a hard encounter. It definitely required us to use resources, to get through it or survive past it. But
it also illustrated a really important thing too. If players mismanage their resources, it can make a huge difference too. Like, I mean, there was sleep spells that if they would have been cast, I don't know if color spray would have been as useful, but sleep for sure would have knocked out a ton of them.
Right.
And the way sleep works, it wouldn't even if there was no danger of actually affecting any of the players.
Right.
Yeah, well, if you said something like Thunder Wave, or I don't know if they have that. But, I heard you had Dragonborn, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Two Dragonborn. They didn't use their breath weapons on that one.
Well, at that point, it was a little tough anyway because
positioning.
There was no positioning. Yeah, you could. One of the Dragonborn probably could have got the bulk of them, but the bulk of them were attached to people.
Right.
Yeah.
So but at that point though, it might have been less damage to take the breath weapon.
Burn these things off of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, because of tactics and like kind of the change of the battlefield while them being attached to players, right?
And bad luck. All weighed in.
It probably felt more like close to a deadly encounter where you've got people are going to be getting dropped. I wasn't there, but people getting close to getting dropped. A lot of expenditure of party resources.
Although if the one goblin watches the video, she can certainly chime in and say that she didn't take a single point of damage.
Well, yeah, she was lucky because I think she was in the back.
She was in the back. So every time they kind of came in at us, like people could use a reaction to make an attack, and by the time it got to her, all of them had been whittled down to nothing. So it was pretty amazing.
Her and Rip Nugget were fine.
Rip Nugget is her companion spider.
So with the encounters, the challenge level, I think there's some confusion with people about the challenge rating. It's not the same at all, really. Like it's like a guideline about that area.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like you can be pretty safe to say that a challenge rating 2 on a first level party is going to be more of a deadly encounter.
Well, that's
it gets
the other
kind
thing.
of a little weird at the top. Like, well, how powerful is your party? Is a challenge rating 12 appropriate to put against a challenge? Like, is it a deadly encounter for level 10 guys or level 11 guys? Most likely, it's going to be a difficult fight.
I would look at what is the monster that you're trying to put out there. What is it capable of doing, and what can my party do? because it says in the straight in the DMG that technically a party level 12 can fight a Rakshasa as a CR 13, but the wizard or anyone casting spells at him is going to be useless because they don't have access to spells that can actually do anything to the Rakshasa. He's just immune to it.
Because of a special ability. Because they have a special
yeah.
ability that negates spells of 6th level or lower. So that's something you got to look at. Or, even for like lower level, like, okay, so like they use an ogre example. A second level party taking on an ogre, which is only CR2, just like the party. Well, it can one shot a lot of
the low level, low hit point characters.
Yeah.
Especially if you have characters that don't have a con bonus, that can literally mean the life and death for a PC if you have somebody that hits hard like an ogre or a bugbear, or what happens if they crit.
Yeah. So most of 5e is a lot more simple and easier to understand and intuitive, from playing and running the game standpoint. The CR system, not so much. It's a little clunky, it's a little weird, and you really if nothing else, that's the one area as a GM you really have to understand it. You have to read through it a couple times
and be systematic about.
Yes, I recommend putting together, like I said, the cheat sheet of the number of players and your XP budgets from easium to hard, and then in addition to that, figuring out how many monsters you can use per encounter with those numbers. And the other factor is, again, how many players you have. That changes it too. And again, it's another. The problem with the CR system is it's like algebra. There's equations that you have to use. They're not hard, but if you want to save yourself some trouble,
Well, I mean, if you want to go back and compare it to, to third edition, like third edition said, okay, well this monster, is this number, and a party of that should be able to fight it. Well, this one, while it's more complex, I think you have to do the math, but it has a more accurate number because it's taking into account how many monsters you're using, what type of encounter you're having, and how many PCs you want. That's so many variables that the third edition system just didn't consider. If you've got a party of 2 characters because you only have 2 players at the table tonight, they're not going to be able to handle encounter at their level, in third edition like they could, because third edition considered you to have 4 to 6 players in your party. Whereas here, like take for instance my game this upcoming weekend, I'm going to have nine players at the table. Well, something at level is going to get overwhelmed by the number of attacks coming into it. You need to have multiple enemies just to be able to have something for them to deal with.
Right.
Because if I put out there, okay, well, there's 6 monsters, and they're all, low hit points, well, you guys could roll up one and all the high dex characters are going to kill it before, somebody has a chance to act. And then... Okay.
Or the adverse, what happens in my campaign is a relatively puny monster, just because of the sheer numbers becomes, kind of overwhelming.
Yes.
In Scott Garaby's game, we fought a Camion.
Okay.
And he thought it was going to be more of a challenge, but the thing just went down like a ton of bricks, in the first round, because there's just so many players attacking on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We didn't all even get attacks to hit it. So, but that that's the economy of actions, and that's what they're kind of accounting to, I think, in the XP system.
Mm-hmm.
And then also you can, as a DM, you can mitigate the issue with multiple players. Too many players for like one monster to handle with the bottlenecking kind of, if you have a cavern that only 2 people wide fit, well, everyone can't just like run up and hit it and run back. It's not like that's not how you could act. You'd be
No.
Someone's gonna trip and fall right in front of the monster and get eaten. That's what would happen in a situation like that.
Well, that's true, but it still comes down to economy actions. Even though maybe there's a bottleneck where everybody can't get there, but they still have actions to take that can be useful.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the more numbers are always advantage over the less, which is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And the CR system takes that into account.
Yeah, with
both directions.
So you guys let us know. Did we explain it correctly? Do you guys know how it works? I think the book, if you really go through and read it, it's all self-explained. It's a complex system. which is so far from the rest of 5e.
Yes.
But it accurately depicts what, what's going to be the level of encounter you want. And it gives you all the math. There's plenty of math all over these gaming books. Just get used to it. Do the math so you know. Tell us what you think in the comments below. While you're doing that, click share, like, subscribe.
And check us out on nerdarchy.com. But, before that you do that, go make your cheat sheet because it'll help you a lot.
You can also check us out on Facebook.
So until next time, my friends,
Stay
stay nerdy.
nerdy.